Hey guys, hope you're all having an awesome week. I just wanted to hop on here real quick and give you a pregnancy update. Now, if you're just interested in solely weight loss journey stuff, you don't have to watch this video. And if you're not interested in like TMI videos, this is not the video for you, because I'm gonna explain kind of what's been going on with my pregnancy. It's a little bit gross at times, so yeah, don't watch if you're not interested. I totally expected to vlog this past weekend. It was Family Day weekend here in Canada, and I went up north with my family, and I brought my camera to vlog the whole weekend of activities and just fun things that we were doing. But it didn't turn out that way, and I'm going to explain why. So last Saturday, I'm going to be, tomorrow I'm going to be 8 weeks pregnant. Last Saturday was 7 weeks pregnant. So at exactly 7 weeks pregnant, I was up at the cottage with my family. My stepdad, sister's boyfriend, and my husband were like all snowmobiling, and me, my mom, and sister were at home watching a movie, and it was lunchtime and we were gonna make some food. So I was up in the kitchen, and all of a sudden I felt like a gush down there as if I had peed my pants. And that had never happened to me before, and I know that happens when you're farther along in your pregnancy, that your bladder could just go, but I'm way too early, so I was confused. So I went to the washroom, I sat down, and all my mom and sister heard from upstairs was me just say, "Oh no," and they came running down, and yes, my liner was filled with blood, like fully bright red blood, and this is the TMI, so if you don't have the stomach for it, please don't watch. But there was, clots and stuff. So right then in my heart, I knew that I had miscarried. Like there was no, no. Like week 5 and 6, I spotted had some light brown spotting, which is normal in pregnancy, but I know that it's more serious if you have enough red blood to soak a pad, and that's what my doctor had told me. So in my gut, I knew. My mom's like, "You want to go to the hospital?" And I'm just like, "No, I'll wait for Jim and let's just hold on." So the few more times that I went to the washroom, there was one specific time that I'm obviously not a doctor, but one of the times the clot was not just a clot of blood. To me, it looked like tissue, like more fleshy, and I would have, like, if you were to ask me that day, I would have said 100% in my gut, I knew that I had miscarried. So yeah, I cried a little bit with my mom, but I was like, we were talking it out, and I was like, okay, that's okay. What gets me through things is by saying to myself, like, whatever God's plan is, it is, and I'm just going to trust in him, just ask him for strength and to guide me through things, and there's really nothing I can do, right? And like there's nothing women can do to prevent these things that happens to so many women. So I was staying strong and whatever. I was dreading Jim to come home because I didn't want to upset him. But anyways, he came home a couple hours later, and I told him that there was a lot of blood, and he was just like, "But how much blood?" I'm like, "A lot." And he's like, "But how much is a lot?" Because he knows that I've been spotting and that it's normal. But my mom's like, "Jim, it was alarming." And so he's like, "Okay, let's go to the hospital." But I don't know, I just wanted to be in denial. I didn't really want to go hear a doctor tell me that I had miscarried. So I was avoiding it. But But then around dinner time, I was like, okay, let's go. So we went to the hospital and I went to emergency, and this was up where our cottage was. And so after waiting hours, the ER doctor came in and says, you know, what's the issue? I said, I'm pretty sure I've miscarried. I explained to him what came out, and he's like, okay, let's check. So he brings in this little rinky-dink ultrasound machine, and it's not like the same machines that, you know, the techs use, the nice stationary ones. Like, this was just like a little portable dinky one. So he's looking around with the ultrasound thing, and he's like, I don't see any baby, I don't see any heartbeat, I don't see anything. And he goes, that doesn't mean anything, let me just do a pelvic exam. So he goes in there and does a pelvic exam, and he tells me, yes, there is tissue around your cervix, it's coming out, and yeah, it looks like you did miscarry. Like, so he confirmed it for me. And it wasn't like I didn't start bawling there, because it's like I had known in my gut that I did. He went to go get my blood work and everything, and he came back and he said to me, okay, well, your HCG level is still really high. The HCG level is like, if you're unaware, is the hormone that like a baby produces that will only be there if you have a baby, if you're pregnant, the pregnancy hormone. Okay, so he's like, it's still very high, which concerns me that there's still maybe pieces up there, things that need to still be passed. And he goes, I would like you to come back for another ultrasound tomorrow with like the tech, like the better equipment, to make sure that, you know, you're expelling everything. And I'm like, well, why? You know, can I just move on? You know, we all know I've miscarried. Why do I have to come back for another ultrasound? And he's like, because your HCG level is so high, and if you're not expelling those leftover pieces or whatever, you can get an infection in there. And if you get in a serious infection, then we're gonna have to remove your entire uterus, and there's no more chance for kids. So we've got to make sure. At that point, you know, Jim and I were upset more for that, like, oh man, you know, not only did we lose our baby, but it could, you know, there's a possibility we could not have any babies ever. So we were like, okay, yeah, for sure. And yeah, so that night we went home. We didn't get out there until like past midnight, so it was like maybe 12:30, almost 1. And we went home, we went to bed, and we were just, you know, we were crying, we were hugging, and then we were just trying to be strong and come to terms with it and saying, you know, we're going to trust God's plan, and whatever's meant to be will be, and, you know, we'll make sure I'm okay, there's no infection, because if there was pieces, like the next day when we went, if there was still pieces in there, they would have had to, I guess you'd call it a DNC or something, like they'd have to clean me out. So we were just kind of focusing on my health and making sure that, you know, things don't get worse. So I don't know, we prayed like what we've been doing since the day we found out I was pregnant. We just prayed and we got strong, and I felt so much closer to Jim than I ever have in my entire life. So that was like, it was nice that I was with my family too for that extra support, but I'm telling you, like, Jim surprises me every single day. I'm just like beyond lucky. He's lucky too, don't get me wrong, he's lucky, but yeah, I'm just like truly lucky. So yeah, we came to terms. Like, I know it's weird, you know, how'd you get over it? I didn't get over it. I knew that I would be sad for a while, but I forced myself to be strong and to come to terms with it. Because I suffer from depression and anxiety, I have to force myself to get over things quicker, because if I let myself, like, oh, just give myself some time to be sad and mourn, I will get too deep and it'll be way too dangerous for me because I get too intense and too depressed, and it'll take over my life and consume me. So I have to force myself to move on quicker, or not to not get too intense about sadness or whatever. So the next morning we were really trying to be positive and just lighter, and we went back to the hospital, and we had I had the ultrasound with a technician. Then she's like, okay, go back down to emergency and get in line to see the doctor. So we wait for an hour and a half to get into an exam room, and then in that exam room we waited another 3 hours, and Jim and I were getting antsy because we had spent, you know, all night there the night before, like from 7 till almost 1 a.m. and then here we are again back at noon, and it was like 3 o'clock, and we were like, oh my gosh, or it was like later than that, almost 3:30, and we were just like, we just spent our whole weekend here, you know, I just want to move on, you know, we know what happened, let's just try to start the healing process and stuff. And while Jim and I were sitting there, we were like, okay, you know, what are ways we can honor this loss? You know, what can we do? You know, would you like to start trying right away? Would you want to wait? And we were just talking about the future. I don't know if that sounds weird to some people. I don't know. I knew that for myself, I needed to heal quick, or else it would be rough. So anyways, we were sitting there, and the doctor came in, and the doctor's like, so there's another baby in there, and it has a strong heartbeat. And Jim and I were like, what? Come again? What has a heartbeat? What are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, there's a baby in there. There's fully a baby in there and has a heartbeat. And my heart was pounding. My face looked shocked. I even said, I said WTF fully spelled that, like the words of WTF to a doctor. I said it. I wish that I had a camera filming my face, or both of our faces. We were beyond so confused. We were like, huh? What? Like, what are you talking about? So then I like came down, and I was like, but doctor, I saw like tissue and everything. And he's like, well, you could have very well miscarried a twin, and because there's still a baby in there. And so yes, you did pass tissue. Yes, you did. You know, yesterday the ultrasound that the doctor used here wasn't very sensitive, wasn't very advanced, so he didn't really see anything. But you know, so he saw the tissue, and he confirmed a miscarriage, but there's another baby in there. And they said that they did actually, he said he saw a clot of blood right under my baby. So I guess I will still have to pass that. I don't know. So I asked him, you know, what do I have to do? Am I on bed rest? Like, how do I prevent this baby from being miscarried? Like, and he's like, there's nothing you can do. Just live your life. There's nothing you can do to prevent it. Yeah. And I said, am I at a higher risk? And he goes, well, the fact that you've miscarried the one, you know, you're more likely, like, it's more possible that you could miscarry the second, but it's 50-50. You can never know. Life is, you know, you never know what can happen. So he gave me my HCG levels. He's like, that's why they were so high, because you fully have a baby in there. And yeah, just go home, follow up with your doctor. So Jim and I left the hospital just really confused, shocked. elated, like sad that we had lost one, but just beyond thrilled that we still had a baby, that we were still pregnant, because we had connected so much to the idea of us being parents in a few months. So we get home and my family is in the kitchen cooking dinner, and we come in and they expect to hear, everything's okay, or I have to do a DNC or whatever. So they're like, what's up? And Jim's like, well, we still have a heartbeat. And my mom like stops dead in her tracks and she's like, huh? My sister like hops up from the couch and runs over. She's like, what are you talking about? And Jim's like, there's another baby in there, and it has a strong heartbeat, 133 beats per minute. And everybody was just like they didn't right away act like, yay, good for you. They were just like frozen, just like Jim and I were in the hospital when the doctor told us. We were just so shocked, and then they were just so excited and obviously cautiously happy because since I miscarried the first, we don't know if like I can miscarry the second, and if you really, it was really an emotional roller coaster thinking I was pregnant and then I wasn't pregnant and then I was pregnant again. We just wanted to be cautiously happy in case we lost the second one or whatever. So we were just so confused, and I was just really overwhelmed with so much going on in my mind and heart, and I was confused and happy and sad and everything and worried, and yeah, so I was exhausted. But it wasn't over. It didn't stop there, because that night I ended up getting the stomach flu. My mom and grandmother had the stomach flu few days prior, so I caught it from them probably, or from the hospital, and I started that night violently vomiting just nonstop, to the point where like the first couple vomits were normal sounding vomits because I had food in my stomach, but once it was just dry heaving, it was so violent and loud and terrifying that I literally woke my family up from dead sleep, and they came running into the washroom just terrified, thinking that somebody had broken in and was murdering me. That's how I sounded. It's funny now, but at the time it was torture. Like, it was horrible, and I feel so bad for women who deal with nausea and vomiting their entire first trimester, because for the first 6 weeks I've had no nausea, nothing, just tired. So for the next 24 hours I vomited nonstop. It was like clockwork. After a while it started becoming further and further apart. Like, it was first every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, every 20 minutes, every hour, and then we had, would have a couple hours in between. But even during those couple of hours, the nausea was so intense that I felt like I could vomit at any minute, but I wouldn't until like a couple of hours. It was just rough. And so the next day we decided to come home, and let me tell you, driving home nauseous, not interesting. I managed to make it all, like, it was a 3-hour drive. I managed to make it almost all the way home, but I vomited right before we got home. It was rough. The next day I did not move from the couch, just like, it was fully 24 hours. Fully 24 hours of vomiting. And then after that, for the next day or two, I was just exhausted and weak and tired, and I don't know if, like, it sounds like I have a cold, or it kind of sounds like my throat is, my voice is gone, and that's because the vomiting was so violent that I completely butchered my throat, and there was like a day that I didn't even sound like myself. It sounded like I had laryngitis, because oh my god, I'm so tired just thinking about it. So I came home and I called my doctor. My actual doctor was on holidays for this week, so I had to wait to go and see her. So I'm going to be seeing her in a couple of days on Tuesday, and I will tell her everything that happened. Plus, the hospital will have sent over everything, and then she'll tell me what to do from there. How I'm feeling right now is just utterly exhausted and weak. Even though the hospital didn't tell me I needed to go on bed rest or anything, I've just been being like staying low key. I've just been staying home, relaxing, because not only am I kind of dealing with like worried about miscarrying the second baby, but I'm also recovering from the stomach flu, so I just feel exhausted and weak. And oh, I did have a fever that night that we just the night that we just got home, and but I took one Tylenol and I went to bed with a cold compress, and I woke up to like the fever had broken when I woke up. So yeah, I just feel, of course, like I feel achy. Even just when I go up a little flight of stairs, my legs are shaky. I feel exhausted. So I think I'm gonna lay low from now till I see my doctor, my personal doctor, and I can tell her everything that happened, and she can tell me what she thinks, and you know, where to go from there. I don't know if she's going to send me for another ultrasound, more tests, and figure things out. I don't know if I'm now high risk, if I'm fine. I don't know if I passed that clot that was still there, or if that's still up there. I don't know. I have no clue. All I know is what emotional roller coaster that was this past weekend. It was the most intense, and I'm not even mentioning all the other things that happened. Like, every single one of my family members got sick, Oliver got sick, so many things, but this is just about my pregnancy update. So tomorrow I'm going to be 8 weeks, and I'm hoping when I see my doctor, if she sends me for an ultrasound, that I see another, like, still a strong heartbeat. I hope everything's okay. I'm trying to stay positive. Of course, I'm worried. I continue to, I'm not bleeding new blood. It's old blood. It's brown. Nothing on my liner. It's just when I wipe, there's still some tissue. I'm sorry if this is gross for any of you, but I assume that if you're still watching, then that means you are okay with hearing this intimate information. So that's it, guys. That's where I'm at. That's why you haven't seen much from me on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, I've posted like maybe 2 things in over a week, because I'm just literally on the couch. This is the first day really I've gotten dressed and really gone out. I would appreciate, you know, your continued prayers and positive vibes and everything. That would mean so much to me. I hope to just be feeling good soon, and for the doctor to say everything's okay so that I can get back into Instagram and vlogging and, you know, working out. I don't know, because, you know, not working out has made me feel horrible too. But I'm just going to do whatever is best for the baby, and we will see what the doctor says. Right now I'm just trying to focus on good, healthy food, my nutrition. So thank you so much for watching. Give this little strong guy a thumbs up if you can. Subscribe for more videos if you want to stay updated on my weight loss journey, my pregnancy journey, and yes, we will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.